we begin the session, so I would like to pay my obeisance to our Guru Deva, Sri Sri Ananda Murthy, who's the founder of Ananda Marga, and who's the inspiration behind this sharing. Okay, so yoga is the path of progress, the path of development for each and every human being. In individual life, we should practice yoga, and in collective life, we should encourage others to practice yoga. And it is the panacea of all human ailments in the physical realm, in the psychic realm, and also in the spiritual realm, okay, according to our Guru Deva, Sri Sri Ananda. Okay, so this will be the outline of the presentation today. So I shall cover on Ashtanga Yoga Sadhana briefly, and concept of Panchakosa and the conclusion. So yoga is an ancient path of self-culture. Okay, and yoga is actually scientific because you can actually it is done methodically. Okay, and you can see a definite effect on your physical anatomy, emotions, mind, and the spiritual consciousness of the practitioner. Okay, so yoga is path towards enlightenment. So today, as the title suggests, sadhana. So the word sadhana came from the root word sat, which means effort. So sadhana is actually sustained effort. Okay? The meaning is sustained effort, and anything that we do to achieve a specific goal is sadhana. Even anything that we do with a sustained effort, okay, for a long time, even for material attainment, okay, it's a sadhana. So in Sanskrit, we call that as prayer sadhana. Prayer, the word prayer means anything to any effort to achieve some material goal. And spiritual sadhana is known as Shreya sadhana. So in this context, we are talking about Shreya sadhana. Okay? And from now on, when I say sadhana, it refers to the Ashtanga Yoga sadhana, which is the foundation of sadhana being taught in the Ananda Marga school. So what is Ashtanga Yoga? So Ashtanga Yoga comprises of 8 limbs, okay, of systematic practice. Okay. Yama, Niyama, Asana, Pranayama, Pratyahara, Dharana, Dhyana, and Samadhi. So Yama means objective balance, Niyama subjective balance. So Asana is postures, maintaining postures. There are 84 postures. There are 2 categories of postures, Swastyasana and Dhyanasana. Dhyanasana is like the lotus posture, Padmasana or Siddhasana, the perfected posture. Sadhana for meditation. Whereas the other category, like the cobra, the shoulder stand, and so on, so it is meant to regulate the hormones in the body, to improve your flexibility, okay, to correct glandular defects, and so on. The 4th limb is pranayama, breath control. Okay, loosely translated as breath control, but it's much more. So pratyahara is actually the process of sense withdrawal. And the last 3, dharana, conception, dhyana, meditation, and samadhi. So these 8 limbs, you can divide it into 2 categories. The first 5 is known as Bahiranga Yoga. The last 3 is known as Antaranga Yoga. So Bahiranga Yoga means external yoga. That means you practice it from outside. Means Yama, for example. Yama means how you regulate your conduct. So I won't go into that the detail. You know? For example, ahimsa, non-injury. Or asteya, non-stealing, for example. So your contact while dealing with others, it is yama. And niyama is internal. That means how you maintain the balance of your mind. Okay. Then asana is posture, steady posture. Okay. According to Patanjali, asana means, he defines asana as stiram sukham asanam. It means asana is a firm posture, you know, which make you at ease. Is Thiram, asana should be firm and pleasant to the practitioner. Pranayama is to regulate the breath so that it could regulate the mind. And Pratyahara, so again, it's a practice which is done externally. And Pratyahara, okay, after this effort through these four limbs, the first four limbs, okay, Pratyahara is a state where your mind becomes more stable and able to withdraw the mind within. After you succeed in Pratyahara, only you will be qualified to practice the higher limbs of your Pratyahara sadhana, so dharana becomes easy. Okay? Yeah, and most people say casually that, oh, I'm doing meditation, I'm going to do my meditation, so on. But actually, they are not doing meditation yet. They're actually trying to do Pratyahara. Okay, and the word Pratyahara was formed from the word Prati and Ahara. Ahara means food. So in this context, food means anything that you what do you call, whatever that you perceive from the external world. Okay, so in Sanskrit, Ahara means food. Okay, but it's not limited to what you ingest through your mouth. Okay, so here all the senses are involved, and if you are able to withdraw all this, if you are able to block the perception from the external world, then the process of Pratyahara begins. Okay, Dharana is the ability to bring the mind to make it one-pointed and flow into a singular direction. So then it will, in Dharana, it happens in stages. In Dhyana, okay, Dharana will progress to Dhyana. Dhyana will progress to Samadhi. Samadhi leads to enlightenment. So sadhana is always related to the so yoga means union, and it came from the word yuk. This means union, and it's union between the individual soul and universal soul. Okay, the individual soul is known as Jivatma, and the universal soul is known as Paramatma. Okay, so Paramatma is the witness of the entire creation. So in religion, they call Paramatma as God. Okay, so Jivatma is the individual, the Atma in every living being, okay, in all of us, and this witnesses your own consciousness. Okay, I don't want to go into the philosophical discussion about this. I'm just touching on it lightly. So there's a simile in the Upanishad. So it says that if there's a tree, in that tree there's there are two birds. One bird is, will be eating the fruit. Okay, and the other one will be watching. So this is actually an analogy about the relationship between Jivatma and Paramatma. Okay, so who is Paramatma? So Paramatma is the universal soul. Okay, so in another language, in Sanskrit, okay, Paramatma, there's another name for this universal consciousness, is Brahma, or infinite entity. So in the Jewish tradition, they call it as Yahweh or Jehovah. Okay, and it means he brings into existence whatever that exists. And in the Arabic tradition, they call it Allah. That means a God. And in the Buddhist tradition, it's not like a being, it's more like a state. Anatta. Okay, they use this word atta. For Atma is atta, so anatta is for Paramatma in Pali language, which again refers to the universal consciousness. So now when you as an individual, as a person, when you try to practice yoga, practice sadhana for any purpose, whether it's self-realization or self-improvement, okay, you don't, you may get an idea that you have to unite with the supreme consciousness of Paramatma, okay, but the whole practice is about you, okay. So it is very important to know what is Jivatma. So Jivatma, the universal consciousness, is reflected in every life form as Jivatma. Okay? So when the mind reaches Paramatman, when your mind is refined enough, actually when you unfold the mind, so eventually you will give up the individual consciousness and become one with Paramatma. So the topic today, the kosha is a portion of the mind, okay, on which you work on with your yoga. So the consciousness, what is Jivatma? So the consciousness, every living being, okay, is the basis of its existence. Okay? It's not your body. Your body will perish upon death. Okay? This consciousness is in the form, okay, like right now, this consciousness, this very consciousness is in the form of chitta primarily. Okay? In a more subtler level, it is in the state of aham, or the doer awareness, or you can call it loosely as ego. And mahat, subtler than ego, is mahat. Okay, this is your consciousness. We'll take a look further about this. So the entire practices of Ashtanga Yoga Sadhana focuses only, the 8 limbs. All the 8 limbs will work on the 5 layers of chitta. So by unfolding the chitta, we will naturally realize the higher consciousness. So as individuals, most of us identify ourselves with our name, gender, ethnicity, okay, profession, social status, religion, and so on. Okay. So this is basically, but at a deeper level, so there's an individual awareness. And primarily, this awareness is connected with survival, the survival instinct, and the instinct to progress in this world, okay, or to achieve something in this world. Understanding this sense of individuality is the first step in yoga. Okay. Before we go to the Panchakosa, the concept of Panchakosa, so we have to see what constitutes a human being. Okay? So any living being. So we use this term Jiva earlier. Okay. So you have this various awareness in you at 3 levels. So the deepest, the most subtlest awareness is known as the Mahat, or I am. So aham is the consciousness of I do, and chitta, the consciousness of then I. So right now, we perceive the world through the chitta. Whatever that you see, let's say something that you see, you will see through your eyes, and it will be processed by your brain. But at a much subtler level, it will fall on part of your mind, which is known as chitta. So everything which is reflected on the chitta, okay, becomes your memory. Okay. But chitta doesn't exist alone, but you have an egoic consciousness, or aham. Okay, but aham cannot exist without the I consciousness. And this I consciousness actually emerged from the Atman. Okay, to understand this, I'll give you some example. When you wake up, especially if you take a nap in the daytime. I mean, it's not nap, I mean, you sleep a bit longer in the daytime, especially those who are working, because you are accustomed to wake up in the morning and then go to work. Or someone like students who are accustomed to sleep and wake up to school the next day. Let's say it is a Sunday and you slept about 2 to 3 hours after your lunch. Suddenly you wake up. When you wake up, you'll be disoriented for a short while. So you'll be wondering, what am I doing here? Am I late to work? Did I slept? Overslept, and the day, and and then slowly you'll begin to, it will come to your awareness, it's an off day, and I'm not supposed to go to work. Okay, so that feeling, where you feel disoriented, it happens when your consciousness emerges in the beginning as I. So when you open your eyes, okay, you're not aware so much of other things. So slowly, when the consciousness descends to the level of chitta, so you begin to process your memory. Okay. So our transaction with the world, transaction is most of the time with chitta. So if you operate from the level of Atman, so you will be all knowing, okay? But that only happens in the case of enlightened people. Okay. So normal people, you will be operating from the level of chitta. That means you deal with others based on your memory. Okay, so everything, so it is related to your kosha. So I'll go into that further, after that in the next slides. So basically, as I mentioned earlier, I am. So this is your awareness. I am. So are you working on? What are you doing with your various practices? Various lessons of meditation. What are you doing, and what is actually happening? Primarily, you have this I am and I, the aham. So, but you have not touched this awareness yet. Okay. So, why do we call this the awareness of chitta as done I? Okay. So, I'll give you an example later. So, the chitta, as I mentioned earlier, is the state of mind from which a human being operates. Okay. Then the chitta itself constitutes of 5 layers. Okay. So when you translate that into the modern psychology, the terminology of modern psychology, the first one is Kamamaya Kosha. So in modern psychology, it's known as conscious mind. Then Manomaya Kosha. In modern psychology, is subconscious. Then the third one is unconscious. In yogic terminology, within unconscious mind, you have 3 more layers: supramental, or the Atimanasa, subliminal, or the Vijnanamaya, and subtle causal, or Hiranmaya. And all your 8 limbs will help to unfold all these 5 layers before revealing the state of Atman to you. Okay. In the Ananda Sutram, okay, in the sutras which composed by our Guru Deva, so in the 3rd chapter, so the first sutra here is Panchakosatmika Jaivisata Kadali Puspava. It translates: the living being is the composite of 5 koshas, or layers of mind, like a plantain flower with its petals. Okay, just like the plantain flower, like you can see in the picture. So you have to unfold each layer before realizing the Atman. So now, in this illustration, you can see at the lowest level in the diagram, you will see Annamaya Kosha, which is a physical body. So in Sanskrit, they call the body as Annamaya Kosha. Anna means food. So this body is made of fruit. And the body is being governed by the crude mind, or the conscious mind, which is known as Kamamaya Kosha. Okay, everything about. So the body basically acts through instinct. So this instinct is governed by Kamamaya Kosha. Okay, so the primary instinct of Kamamaya Kosha, or the conscious mind, is survival. So basically, the awareness of Kamamaya Kosha is controlled by the fear, okay, and 3 others, which is food, okay, desire for food, to sleep, and sex. Okay, and fear controls all these 3. So the awareness of Kamamaya Kosha is the basic consciousness in plants and animals. In fact, the chitta is only, like in the case of plants, only chitta is developed. Okay, the kosha, or the layer of mind beyond Kamamaya Kosha, is mostly undeveloped, except in the case of more developed animals like elephants and apes. Okay, even domesticated dogs. Okay, they have a subconscious mind. So the next layer in the chitta, the panchakosha, is the manomaya kosha, the subconscious. So here, this is the kosha where through which you deal with the world. Okay, you solve your problem, you memorize. Okay, when you sleep, your dream is through this manomaya kosha. And majority of human beings, they operate through manomaya and kamamaya kosha. If someone operates mainly or predominantly through kamamaya kosha, they are, you can say that they are basically a brute. Okay, someone who's not very evolved, you can say, right? And someone who's more refined, more civilized, more so they use the manomaya kosha. So you can take someone from any undeveloped tribe. Okay, you can educate them, and he can become an engineer or professor or anything, or doctor. Okay, that is through your education, which is given through the manomaya kosha. Okay, so the next kosha, the manomaya kosha, is the supramental or atimanasa kosha. Okay, so atimanasa kosha is the first layer of the unconscious. So why we call these higher minds as unconscious? Because we are unconscious of it. Okay? Because those layers are more conscious. Okay? It belongs to higher realm, higher awareness. And when you do sadhana, when you succeed in your practice of pratyahara, you begin to unfold this kosha. Means you begin to operate from this kosha. And when you start to touch this kosha, your sadhana will be more, how to say, more effective. I mean, without much effort, okay, you can stay in concentration, and you won't be aware of the time. Okay? Half an hour, 40 minutes will pass without much effort. Whereas if your mind in manomaya kosha, you'll be aware of your surrounding. And if your kamamaya kosha is very active, you can't sit in your sadhana. Even 5 minutes, like, very difficult. Even 2 minutes is very difficult. I'm sure you have faced that kind of thing. I mean, those who practice meditation regularly. So the day when you cannot, that's why you're not advised to, you're not supposed to sit for sadhana after eating, immediately after eating. Wait at least 2 hours, 3 hours. Because your kamamaya kosha will be active. It will be busy in digesting food and all that. So you can't devote much energy to concentrate. Okay, so it's best to meditate or to sit for meditation in your stomach. And again, suppose your kamamaya kosha, but still your manomaya kosha can be very restless. Let's say after a day's work, okay, too many things that you did in the office, talking too much, thinking too much. So it will take a while before your mind stabilizes. And in fact, the sadhana begins from manomaya kosha. So if your manomaya kosha is restless, so it won't be easy to start. That's why it's always ideal to to sit for sadhana after bathing, so where you feel fresher, and maybe you should rest a bit. And for those who have learned the practice of pranayama breathing, so it will stabilize the manomaya kosha. Okay, so if you have not learned any specific technique of pranayama, so you can do deep breathing. So breathing through your navel, 7 to 8 times. Just take a deep breath and release it slowly. So this will help to stabilize the manomaya kosha. So atimanasa kosha. So after you succeed in your practice of pratyahara, so you'll begin to experience some sort of stability. Okay. Then beyond atimanasa kosha is the vijnanamaya kosha, or subliminal kosha, subliminal mind. This is more stable. So where you will be discriminative power. Okay, you know what is right and wrong. And vairagya, so you'll be detached. Anything that happens outside, the outside world will not affect you. Okay, you'll be very stable. So an example of this is like Lord Buddha. So he was a prince, and when he encounters some incident, okay, he saw a dead person, he saw a sick person, an old man, and so on. So suddenly he began to think deeply, and his Vijnanamaya Kosha began to operate and become so detached. And you want to know, you want to find the truth about life. That is because of the effect of Vijnanamaya Kosha. And in your case, if the Atimanasa Kosha begin to awaken, so you'll begin to search. So Atimanasa Kosha is about awakening, the first awakening, where you'll begin to look for answers about who am I, who's God, and so on. What happened after death? So when you have this kind of question deeply, means your Atimanasa Kosha is awakened. But someone who has the Vijnanamaya Kosha awakened, so they will give up everything. So Lord Buddha or Siddhartha Gautama, he gave up the throne. There's not anybody can do that, not just everyone. So even in Malaysia, the second richest man, Ananda Krishna, his only son, he just, because I think Ananda Krishna, he has two wives. So the second wife from Thailand, and the son. So there's a tradition where you can be ordained as a monk for a brief period. So when he was 18 in 1989, he just ordained himself. So, he didn't ordain. So the what do you call it? The Buddhist hermitage ordained him, and he just wanted to do it for fun, but he got an awakening despite being the son of a billionaire. He chose to become a monk, a Theravada Buddhist. Okay? It's not an ordinary thing. And next is the Hiranmaya Kosha. Okay? The Hiranmaya Kosha is a much subtler layer of mind, Panchakosha. So here you will feel your Mahat awareness. In Vijnanamaya Kosha, you'll realize your Aham awareness. In Hiranmaya Kosha, you'll feel the Mahat, okay, in its full state of awareness, without blemish. Okay, but it is still not the state of Atman. So when you transcend Hiranyamaya Kosha, so you will experience the Atman. That is basically Panchakosha, okay, in a nutshell. And this is a very deep subject, and which every sadhaka should be well versed, because it to your practice. Okay, your philosophy, the knowledge of this with regard to Panchakosha is essential. So most people operate through the body, the conscious and the subconscious, the conscious and the subconscious mind. A beginner in the part of yoga will perform sadhana to understand and gain mastery over the body and both the conscious and subconscious mind. In the next phase, he or she will unfold the unconscious mind and enjoy a more expanded state of awareness. Okay. So Patanjali in Yoga Sutra will say that yoga, okay, is not like a religion where you're supposed to believe and have faith, and after you die, okay, you will be given a free passage to heaven. So in yoga, or any form, not only yoga, there are other schools of sadhana, Zen Buddhism, for example. All this, through all these schools, you can actually experience the progress. So in yogic practice, one of the stages that you will experience is that you will have this, or experience a more expanded state of awareness. Means like when you operate through the body, the conscious and the subconscious mind, you will be a person with very unstable consciousness. Means you'll experience life ups and downs on the daily basis and get disturbed. So the quality of your life will be affected with what you experience. Whereas when you, as a practitioner, when you become a serious practitioner, you begin to unfold the unconscious mind. The Panchakosha, when you enter the third layer, the mind becomes more stable, where you can actually observe the external world, what's happening in the external world, and you know how to find the solution. Okay. And even when you sit for sadhana, so you'll be more peaceful. Even in the normal state, you will be more peaceful. You won't be restless. And of course, with the continuous practice, you will also enter the higher kosha like Vijnanamaya kosha and enjoy greater bliss. So the physical body is also known as Annamaya kosha, is known as the crude body. And the 5 kosha from the Kamamaya to Hiranmaya is called also called the subtle body, or Sukshma Deha. And Mahat Tattva, the I am and the I do, the ego consciousness, are called the Samanya Deha, or super body. Okay, so the body beyond the Chitta, the Panchakosha. So as with the plantain flower, in the case of these koshas also, subtle things are observed and understood only after removing the crude parts. Okay, that means as you transcend each kosha from Kamamaya slowly, so that means you become, because the Kamamaya kosha is cruder than Manomaya. So the Manomaya is cruder than Atimanasa. So the higher you go, the subtler it is. So now we shall see this Panchakosha and how it is connected to your, what do you call, the lessons, or the 8 limbs of yoga. So the Annamaya kosha is the body. Okay. So through yogasana, okay, the yogic postures and proper diet and physical labor, you can stabilize and balance this kosha. So the Kamamaya kosha is stabilized through the practice of yama and niyama, the first 2 limbs of yoga. If you don't practice yoga, so nature will do it through physical clash, sickness, challenges, war, whatever you face in the physical world will help to develop the Kamamaya kosha. And this happens over many lifetimes. Okay? And Manomaya kosha, the subconscious mind, so is stabilized through pranayama, the practice of pranayama, of Asana yoga. Whereas to do the same in the natural way, again, it requires physical clash to the normal life. In Atimanasa kosha, or the supramental mind, is being stabilized. This kosha is being stabilized through pratyahara. Whereas if you don't do this practice, so the psychic clash, the mental clash, whatever mental torture that you undergo, and contact with higher spiritualism, or education, proper education, so that will develop the supramental mind. In the case of Vijnanamaya kosha, it is developed by the practice of dharana, and without sadhana, it's again psychic clash like earlier. And Hiranmaya kosha is developed through dhyana, the meditation. And for those who don't meditate, those who follow the normal religion, so at the moment of prayer, when they are in a very deep prayerful mood, it is known as attraction of the great. So that will help in developing the Hiranmaya kosha. Okay. So in conclusion, this practice of which is called as Astanga Yoga, is called Dharma. Okay? The purpose of Dharma is to attain perfect happiness, and perfect happiness is the attainment of the soul. There being only partial happiness in each kosha, so long as the soul is not attained, every kosha has to be perfected, and each kosha has to be taken care. One kosha cannot be perfected to the exclusion of the rest. Where there is a perfect happiness, there is Dharma. So this is a statement of our Gurudeva in one of his discourses. Okay, that each kosha has to be perfected, and then you should unfold. You should transcend, you go to the next. Okay, so through regular practice, okay, regular, intense, okay, and also combination of karma yoga. I've mentioned that in other classes. And also by cultivating jnana, okay, by studying self-introspection and so on, so you can perfect koshas. So with that, I have concluded the topic briefly. Okay. So of course I will do the second or third part of this because this is a bit intricate, so it requires further explanation. Okay, and take this as an introduction, and I would like to invite you all to discuss and also to raise any question for our discussion. Thank you.
Patma, namaskar. Yeah.
Namaskar.
I just want to ask the Panchakosha, Annamaya Kosha is not included in the Panchakosha, is it?
Yeah.
Okay. So it starts from the Kamamaya.
Yeah. Okay. Okay. Is that or you have any further question?
Okay. Then if it is not included in the Panchakosha, but it is known, Annamaya is known as Kosha also. Huh?
Okay. Actually, Annamaya or the physical body is the crudest, okay, the crudest expression of mind, right? And some of you might have, those who have read this book on spirituality, okay, you may came across this concept of Panchakosha. But the common one, where they will mention Annamaya Kosha, they mention 5 kosha, but it will begin with Annamaya. Then after Annamaya, they will mention Pranamaya. After that, Manomaya. Then the last 2, Vijnanamaya and Anandamaya. Okay. This concept originated from the Taittiriya Upanishad. Okay. Out of the 10 principal Upanishad, Taittiriya Upanishad mentions about this kosha. Then it is in the form of dialogue between the rishi and the rishi's son. The son is, in that, can say the story in the Upanishad. The son wanted to know about truth. What is the truth? Who is Brahma? Who is the consciousness, and so on. So the guru, his father, okay, and who also acts as a guru there, asked him to contemplate. Say, I won't give you the direct answer. Say, go and contemplate. So the son went and contemplated for a while. And after some time, he came and he said, I realized. So he said, Annam Brahmeti. He said, Brahma is the food that sustains my body, which forms my body, is Annam. So from there, they got the idea of Annamaya Kosha. Then the father said, no, you go and contemplate further. Then after a while, again he came, he said, Prana and Brahma. He said, Brahma is the vital air, or the vital energy. And he said, no, you go further. Then again, so from here, so they get the idea of Pranamaya Kosha, okay, or the Kosha of vital air. Then after that, again, he went and contemplate. So he came and declared, Manam Brahma. So the mind is Brahma, the thinking mind or the subconscious mind. So again, the father said, no. So from there, I got the idea of Manomaya Kosha. Then again, he went and contemplate, came back and he said, Vijnanam Brahma. Vijnana means special knowledge. Then again, the father asked him to contemplate and finally come and say, Anandam Brahma. So again, he said, bliss is Brahma. He said, go beyond that. Then he realized it as a state of Atman. And now, this concept of kosha, which originated from Taittiriya Upanishad, is based on this interaction between them both. So there's a slight difference there. But the concept of Panchakosha as introduced by Sri Ananda is based on the 8 limbs. Okay, and this kosha as in its order, okay, through his own sadhana, how he discovered it. Okay, so it is our duty to, as a sadhaka, by practicing the system of Ashtanga Yoga, so we should actually search this. So we should observe Okay, we know that there's an Annamaya Kosha, it's our body. So we know how the body operates, but I mean, even this body is operating without our awareness, isn't it? So sometimes we eat without thinking, okay, without feeling hungry, we are eating. So that means we are not living in awareness. So first we need to understand the body. Then we need to understand. Okay, you don't have to really believe, oh, Kamamaya Kosha exists or not, but observe it. So how, in my understanding, Kamamaya Kosha is a state of awareness. Okay, so if you operate from that state of awareness, okay, you are very much concerned about your survival, and you will react to people. Okay, you will have more fear. Okay. But as you transcend the Kamamaya Kosha, so you will think before doing anything. Okay, so people who receive education, say people who are dominated by Manomaya Kosha, by Kamamaya Kosha, if they steal, the only way for you to control them is by punishment. Only through fear you can control them. But someone who is dominated by Manomaya Kosha, he will know beforehand. So if I steal, so I'll be punished. So even if there's a tendency to steal, he will not steal and get caught. So if he will steal in a more sophisticated way. Okay, so advanced criminals are like that. And someone with a more developed Atimanasa Kosha, so this can only be developed by either through sadhana in the present life, or if this kosha is already developed in the previous life. So this kind of person will have more psychic ability, okay, more intuition. Okay, so all this, as an individual, you should observe. Okay, so after doing, if you are not an adept in sadhana, so you can actually experience the body, the conscious and the subconscious mind. Through sadhana, you can begin to understand Yatimanasa Kosa, then Vijnanamaya Kosa, and so on. But the concept which appeared in the Taittiriya Upanishad is, I'm not saying that it is wrong, but it is a concept according to that sort of practice. That is the school of Vedanta. So they try to analyze. So vital air. So when you say Annam Brahmeti, then Pranan Brahmeti means, because food is full of vital energy, isn't it? So in that order, is it that Pranan Brahma? Okay. Then through his again, he go into the contemplation much deeper. So he realized the unconscious, the subconscious mind. All right. Anyway, so that's basically the difference between these two. So in our school, so Annamaya Kosha is still called Kosha, but it is the crudest Kosha. Okay? But 5 Kosha is beyond the Annamaya. I hope I answered the question. So any other question or thoughts to be shared?
Hello.
Namaskar, Velu. Yep.
Yes, namaskar, brother, and namaskar, everyone. And again, thank you for a wonderful session. I've got a question looking at this slide also, which I was thinking about for quite some time, about Dharma. And on the other side, I'm also thinking about karma. Karma, not in the sense of action, but what I'm supposed to do to cleanse my soul so that I can elevate myself. But I'm also bound. I also believe I'm bound to Dharma, what I'm supposed to do as this life, as a male, as a husband, as an engineer, and all that. So I've got duties to actually do on one hand, and on the other hand, I've got to reconcile of my past actions, if I can say that. So I'm trying to balance these two. And then I've got this satsang that I'm doing, and this sadhana, which I'm doing, and trying to clear it all out so that I can elevate my soul, which I think it's what I'm trying to do. So I guess my question is, between dharma and karma, where is, or how much is this sadhana that we are doing, which one is clearing more? Am I clearing my karma more and I don't have to focus on my dharma, or I have to do both as a balancing act?
All right. So your question is, what's actually happening when I'm doing my sadhana?
Yes.
So my exhausting. So actually, the correct term there is samskara. Okay. So there is karma. So karma results in samskara. Okay. So there's action and reaction. Okay. So in this context, so samskara is the fuel. For example, so you nowadays all the latest cars, so they come with the range of your fuel, right? So when you refuel it, when you fill the tank, okay, when the full tank will show, like the car, like my car will say 600 kilometers. Okay.
Okay.
So once, that means I know the range. So if I keep on driving without refueling, eventually it will reach 600 and the car will not move further. Okay. So using that analogy, so your car is your physical body, not only your external physical body, but also your subtle body, your causal body, so on. So it comes with a fuel, and this fuel is samskara, and this samskara originated from your previous existence. Okay, this samskara actually brought you into this life. Okay? So this samskara, based on the samskara, so it determines a few things. For example, your lifespan. That means your range, just like a car, with a full tank, it has its range. So your range is your lifespan. Okay? It can be 6, 70, 80, 100, be anything. So that's number one. But then, okay, it's not as simple as the fuel for the car, but you have various forms of expression. So you use another word, dharma. So again, so dharma is not easy, that easy, it's not definable so easily like that. But you can understand what is dharma. So dharma is that which protects the existence of an entity. Okay? So dharma actually, in a broader sense, it sustains the entire universe. Because of dharma, okay, we have this the earth rotating within 24 hours, and you have the 365 days and many things happening, so and all the planets can maintain the exact distance, stability, and so on, right? So this is dharma. Primarily, this dharma sustains the entire universe. Okay, so this dharma is there. It's not like something imposed upon you. It's not like a rule, but it is there. It's a law. That primary dharma is which is attached to your soul. You always want to bring you back to your original state of awareness, which is the Atman. Okay? So that is the primary of prana dharma. And the samskara which prompt you to do certain action, that brings the other category of dharma, which is your upadharma. So your life as an engineer, as a husband, as a citizen, okay, as a citizen of Malaysia, okay, and you're sitting in Australia, so you have your role to play there. So all this is upadharma. You have to manage your upadharma. Okay, your upadharma. So primarily it concerns your expression of your samskaras through your upadharmas. Okay, so your upadharma is in a way, is your vehicle to exhaust your samskaras. So all this will happen naturally. And then the awakening. If you have the awakening to know who you are, that is the awakening of dharma. So okay, you have to reconcile this, yes? This is like, so you must remember, so I use a simple example. Okay, you take a compass, no matter in which direction you turn the compass, so it will only point it towards north, right? So similarly, a sadhaka should be aware of the self. Okay, not only during sadhana, twice a day or thrice a day. So that awareness, so you have, that's why in Ananda Marga, so you have the second lesson of Bhakti-Vidya. So one lesson when which you practice a couple of times in a day, twice or thrice, 4 times. So that reminds, so you do it in a concentrated manner, in a very focused way to elevate your awareness and also to exhaust your samskara. So the other one is the lesson you do to keep your awareness all the time. And this is the Madhya. Okay. So when you express your secondary dharma, but you keep the ideation through your second lesson. So the secondary dharma, which is the upadharma, like you're playing your role as a husband, as a family man, as an employee, okay? All this, maybe as a writer and so on. All this will be transformed into primary dharma. Yes, you know, I mean, it's not as simple as I'm saying now, but you have to practice. If you practice, then you'll be sitting in front of your computer, but your awareness will be always there. Your mantra will always be like flowing. Okay? And then the other question is, yeah, you're expressing, you see, karma, so expression of samskara. The expression of samskara happens all the time. But someone who wants to speed up the process, so you do sadhana, but just doing sadhana alone, it's not enough. The sadhana has to be combined with karma yoga. So that means you have to do even your primary, your secondary dharma. So in the regular activity that you do it with a dedicated feeling. Okay, with the help of second lesson. So the action is dedicated to your guru. Since you have a guru, you can dedicate it to your guru. Okay, that's what all these sannyasis do. Okay, so you can live a similar life. The sannyasin, see why you should ask the question. Some sannyasins goes to a guru. When you will go to a guru and say, I want to get enlightenment. But a guru will make them work like donkey. So work in the field, work in the kitchen, send them to another place to do the mission for a certain number of years. And then maybe later only the person will focus on sadhana. So why is it so? It's because the person have a lot of samskara to be expressed. So the guru will help him to express it through work. So now you can do the same thing. So this is an experience of one of the sadhaka who lived his guru. So he said, I've been doing a lot of work, but I've been doing it for him, not for myself. So now in your normal life, if you're always conscious about yourself only with your identity, whoever you are, then that is not a dedicated action. Okay, that action, let's say you work hard in a company to get promotion, okay, to get to receive recognition, okay, so to be adored by your family. So you do a lot of things, but everything for other purpose. That means you're strengthening your ego. But if you do all the action with a dedicated spirit, this is my duty. The fruit doesn't belong to me. That's the spirit of Bhagavad Gita. Then those action will not create new reaction. Okay? It will be expressed. So it is like you are going in a journey carrying huge load. Okay, you will be shedding off. You are, offloading all this along the way, and your journey become lighter and lighter. Okay, so samskara will be in anybody's life will be expressed like that from day one. Suppose a person have 60 years of lifespan. So from day 1 until 60, the samskara, the burden of samskara will be lessened and lessened. And upon reaching 60, the person die because there's no more fuel. But as a sadhaka, you can speed up this process by doing all your action as with a dedicated spirit. And maybe by 48, you would have exhaust the major samskaras, and you will have some little samskara, but you will begin to live with greater awareness. The last 12 years, you will enjoy samadhi more often, higher meditation more often. This is the difference. Okay. So of course, your question is a very deep question. So I hope I could shed some light on it. So Velu, is that clear or you need further explanation?
Yes, brother. is clear. Like you said, the understanding the theory behind karma and dharma, it's manifold. It's very complex. And but I believe that what you have spoken for the last 5 minutes is actually quite profound in itself. And yeah, I've got another follow-up question if anyone else have got nothing else, but I will leave it open for them if they want to ask anything. I'm happy to keep my thing for the next session.
You can, so I think, okay, shoot the question, please.
Okay, because you have mentioned something, I mean, you just told it in passing, very quickly you said, but I think there was some deep meaning behind it also. You said like someone who's living up to 60 years of age. And lately I've been talking to my friends, family and all, and they want to live up to 90, 100, but they don't want to do anything. You know, there is no dharma, there's no karmic value of their life. There's no giving back to everyone around them, you know, to community people. So there's no help. I'm like, why would you want to live till 90 without doing all these things? Is your life meaningful? I mean, what are you trying to do by living long life? Then I was thinking on my own, is living a long lifespan the goal of our life? Is there any value to it? But why all humans strive to achieve that, to live long? What are your thoughts about that?
So human beings, primarily, so they have some idea about life, right? So one of the things is they live by hope. So what is the hope today? When you're in school, you think that life is so difficult. You may think, a teenager might think the whole world is against them. So they think they'll enjoy greater freedom when they start to work, but then, you know, the reality is otherwise, right? So then they will start to work hard thinking that maybe I'll get rich, and after I get rich, maybe I'll enjoy greater freedom. So the journey continues like, oh, maybe after I start a family, I'll get some happiness. Everyone wants happiness, basically. That is so even our guru said that Sukhanurakti Paramajiva Vritti. You know, so the desire to enjoy pleasure is the primary urge of every living being. So everything that we do. So Sukhanurakti Paramajiva Vritti. Then in the next sutra I said Sukham Anandam. Sukham Anandam Anandam. It means this pleasure, infinite pleasure is bliss. Then he said Anandam Brahma Ityahu. Okay? So before he mentioned about this Sukhanurakti Paramajiva Vritti, he also mentioned this Anukula Vedaniyam Sukham. Anukula Vedaniyam Sukham means pleasure, okay, is a congenial mental feeling. See? So primarily the seeking of pleasure. So but the pleasure, eventually they are seeking Anandam. And where is this Anandam or infinite bliss is in the attainment of Brahma. Okay. But people try to seek this happiness from where? Through a bottle of whiskey, for example. Okay. In a limited sense, you know, I'm not judging anybody. Okay. Maybe in a packet of cigarette or in a movie. Okay. A woman. So we are continuously seeking pleasure from various objects. Okay. And this object is also future, you know, it's also, I mean, consists also future. For example, after my retirement, maybe I will enjoy some peace. Okay, I send my kids for education, everything, I'm done. But then there is no guarantee, you know, you may get sick at 60, right? But even then they won't give up. So there's a natural tendency they won't give up life. So people think that one thing, so this, people live in Maya. So they live in denial. So they all know that one day they are going to die, okay? But they never think of death. Okay? There's always hope that the next life, I mean, the next moment or the next year, the next day, the next month will be good. And what are they failing? They are failing to live in the present. Okay? And this is something very common. You know, we heard live in the present, live in the present. But how to live in the present? You can only live in the present when you give up the past, brooding over the past and worrying about the future. If you can give up these two. So as a sadhaka, you can do that. After more regular sadhana, self-introspection, self-studying of great works of the masters and all that, you'll get an idea about all that. I mean, your understanding about this subject will become clearer and clearer. And with your regular sadhana, your awareness will be expanded. There is more clarity. There will be more clarity. With that clarity, you will understand. You will naturally learn to live in the present, to live in the moment. Okay? And if I relate that to today's subject, okay? So I mentioned that very clearly. So if you live in the conscious and subconscious mind, your quality of life will be like that. It will be never stable. So if you can live in the Vijnanamaya Kosha and above, the quality of life is different. So to answer your question, why people are in denial, people think that they can live up to 90, but then they have no. Yes, because they're operating from that Kosha. And again, what is their idea of life? Their idea of life is what they receive from outside. I mean, like today, in our era, in our time, so we are the product of 20th century. So like you're also born in 20th century, but you are living in the 21st century. So, and the last from 19th century, we have the majority of human beings, they are living with the idea of Adam Smith. Adam Smith saying, getting rich, you can, getting rich is the goal of life. Okay. So I would say you don't see people who really follow any religion strictly. All of them are following one religion very strictly. They are following the religion of capitalism. Through capitalism, there's consumerism, heavy consumption. Companies teach you how to consume things that you don't need, right? Do you agree with that? So that is our state of awareness. So we have to break. That is one of the greatest conditioning, okay, in the world today. One of the greatest conditioning. We are being conditioned to believe that if you're not wealthy, if you're not super rich, you're not happy. If you're not, your life is not good. Nice background sound there. Okay. So it's all again. We can come back to okay.
No use at all.
Okay, I think I have to mute everyone. Otherwise, a lot of. Okay, I would like to request the cooperation of everyone to make sure that please mute your mic. There are sounds from your background which is distracting.
State level international level only morning batch, evening batch. You have to choose.
Okay. Okay, Velu. So.
Okay, brother. Thank you for that. Yes, it is. Yeah. It is a very long discussion. That's for sure. This thing about.
But it's a fruitful discussion. So yeah, it's good to explore all these things.
Yes. Yes. Thank you. Thank you for sparking the.
All right. Thank you, everyone. So I hope we can meet up. Meet you all again in another session. I hope the session has been fruitful to all of you. Okay, thank you very much.
All right. Namaskar, everyone. Namaskar, Brother Padma. Thank you.